I have 8 things to talk about and only a few times or two. I need to talk, first of all, about your core obligation to the Goldman Sachs company. Goldman Sachs Asset Management for years has had not a stumble, but a need to be focused. You have had great acclaim for bringing a new focus to Goldman Sachs Asset Management to compete out there. What's the Patel focus for Goldman Sachs Asset Management?
Look, as an investor, your focus, number one, has to be your client needs. And what I would say we've tried to do is refocus our entire investing team on the questions clients are asking us.
What are they asking you right now?
They're asking us about ESG and sustainability. They're asking us about what to do in this low-yield environment. And they're asking us how they should think about asset allocation in the broader context of all their stakeholders.
What we heard this week in Happy Valley is the arch question of the efficient frontier and asset allocation given low rates. We've got boom bust, and I don't want to get into boom bust with you. Your leader, David, Solomon was quite good on that as well. Forget about that. Forget about, I got to put my money in the market after bonds up, yields down, stocks up, 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 up. Is your answer to buy more Tesla?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be Tesla, but I would say people have been penalized more for trying to guess when the market would go down than by keeping to a steady core asset allocation, particularly with exposure to equities when you believe that growth is stable. Do we think that growth is growing exponentially, getting better over the next year? No, but do we think the U.S. looks decent? There are hotspots in Europe of both growth and pain, and that we have interesting opportunities in EM, and particularly in Japan? Yes.
Okay, your charm is you came up on the trading side, on the management side, on what I'm going to call the execution side. This isn't some ivory tower exercise for you, even though you've got prodigious academics. From an execution trading side, you're expert in the observance of liquidity. Is the liquidity there in the markets given shocks right now?
I would say liquidity is there. We're certainly in a better place than we were a year ago at Davos. A year ago, you had everyone worried about liquidity, extremely worried about where the markets would head, and we were counseling calm. And I think today you have people worried about liquidity given the mix of private to public that they have in their portfolios, particularly the way that various investors have leaned into things like private credit. Where we see the balance is by making sure that the overall portfolio has the liquidity needed for the needs. That will be different for a pension than a sovereign wealth fund, different for an insurance company.
Can I go off script? On a Friday, we can do that with Sheila Patel. Portfolio insurance, this is before your time, 1987. Are ETFs the new portfolio insurance? This is beneath you to talk about, I get that. But everybody listening and watching, should they be petrified of the certitude that ETFs are the only way to go?
I don't think it's the new portfolio insurance, and I think there's a huge diversification of the options in the ETF markets. They span an incredible number
well said.
Of
it's
different...
not just long, short, triple leverage.
It's a very, very broad market.
Fair.
I think what we have to think about with ETFs is really what is the purpose of having them in your portfolio? Is it the best exposure to a particular index? Is it an area where you just want beta versus alpha? And it goes back to the question of, do you want active or passive in certain segments of the market? I think that's a question that investors need to answer themselves over and over again. And it's become very binary. We love binaries. It's easier to say choose A or choose B. But the reality is we see a balanced portfolio includes both passive and active, depending on where you think the opportunity set is in an asset class.
Unfortunately, last night I was talking about C, D, E, F. I wasn't binary last night. Sheila's right. That's a simpler and better world.